Hi, welcome to episode 267 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known on Ravelry as Fluffy K, on Twitter and Instagram as Fluffy Kira, and I blog over at the episode thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea where I sell my handspun yarns, and we have a Ravelry, a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, March 2nd. It is beautiful weather here. It was in the 60s over the weekend and it's going to be in the 50s all week. We are changing clocks to daylight standard time this week, so we are jumping ahead, which of course is not my favorite to jump ahead, but I do love the more daylight and the fact that the days are almost going to start getting longer again. Of course, that won't happen until a little later this month. And as much as I do love winter and knitting cozy things indoors, now I have the promise of sunshine and spring. And of course, now I'm eager to get there and for it to be warm. Of course, too soon it will be hot, but I'll take these 50 and 60 degree days. So how are you? I hope you've had a wonderful week and weekend. Mine was spent doing quite a bit of crafting. Unfortunately, a lot of it I cannot show you yet. Because there are samples and things that I have been asked not to share. But I will share with you a few things and in general just talk about a few things. This will probably be a shorter episode because I don't have a ton to show you. But I hope you're doing well. If this is your first time, thanks for joining us. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back again. So, like I said, it's a beautiful week here, and let's start with the tea. I decided today I wanted to drink strawberry lemonade from Bird and Blend, and this was given to me by a lovely friend. Strawberry lemonade is strawberry chunks and zesty lemon peel, apple pieces, hibiscus, elderberries, rosehip, lime leaves, sunflower petals, orange peel, and natural flavoring. And I really love their teas. They're delicious, and today I am drinking it in my sunflower mug from Jenny the Potter, which I ordered from her website when she had a few of them available, and sunflowers are the Kansas state flower. We are the sunflower state. So I just liked it, and it's all green and springy, and I'm starting to think about spring. Which doesn't mean I'm not working on a bunch of sweaters and things like that, but I am starting to dream of spring. So let's talk about what's on my needles. Last week I showed you a sample knit that I am working on for Zen Yarn Garden. It is a cabled sweater to be released. And I showed you I was working on the back of the sweater and I managed to finish that. There's nothing super special about this. This is a stockinette back. It has it's going to be pieced and will have set-in sleeves, and so I do have some armhole shaping and a little bit of neck and shoulder shaping at the top, but otherwise it is pretty simple. And this is the gorgeous Serenity Worsted, which is a merino cashmere nylon in gray wolf, and I just love the way that semi-solid knits up. I did alternate balls to prevent pooling, but it is just a lovely semi-solid knit, and I swear semi-solid hand-dyed yarns have ruined me for knitting because they have so much beauty and texture in them, and then when I go back to a commercial hand-dyed yarn, it always looks so flat in comparison. So yes, ruined me, absolutely ruined me. So this is what I've got. I am knitting for a 47-inch bust, so it is slightly larger than my normal sweater, but like I said, this is a sample for Zen Yarn Garden. So that is what I've got going on there. I managed to finish the back this weekend and just kind of get started on the front. I've only got a few inches so far. The front has a heavily cabled panel, and so this is, I have just started the front and the cable section, and so this is what I will be working on this week, and I'm about to finish a big project that I can't talk about, so this will move into further rotation, and I need to basically knit roughly the same size, including the cables, as the back, and then I will have two sleeves which have cable detailing on them as well, and then it will be on to assembly and the neck treatment. I'm hoping I'll be able to finish this one up in the next couple weeks, but this, you will be seeing this again. There will be more of this. And again, that's the colorway Grey Wolf, and the yarn is, if I have one of the tags, it is Zen Yarn Garden, and this is their Serenity worsted base, which is 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% nylon, approximately 175 yards per skein in the colorway Grey Wolf. So that is predominantly what is on my needles. Well, I shouldn't actually say that, because predominantly what's on my needles is another sample that I'm working feverishly to finish. I probably have maybe 2 more nights of good work on that, and then it should be done, and then I will wash it and send it back. So things that got some attention this week, but not as much as they deserved. I am working on a new chicken. So this is a bigger chicken, hence bigger feathers, and these are the gray and white fibers that I spun before. These are a bunch of feather clusters that I create that decorate the chicken bodies. If you want to see what kind of work that I am doing, you can go to the Instagram account, the City Girl Farm, and see what kinds of chickens they are producing. I've also shared a few of the posts on my feed, particularly the ones showing the work that I am doing. I have a ton of these to go, probably 20 of these, because it's a big chicken to cover. So that will keep me busy. I've done a couple this weekend, so that is part of what I'm working on. And then the other project that I wanted to show you is I have gotten a little further into Miles' blanket. Not as much as I would like, but I have started this, the pattern that I'm using is the Woodland Crochet Along blanket pattern, designed by Lucy, who is Attic24. And I bought a different color pack from her. Well, not from her, she works with the company and designs the color packs. I believe it's the Wool Warehouse. And I went ahead and bought kind of a sunny, bright, rainbowy color palette to do a blanket for Miles. And I think last week when I talked to you, I had just finished the yellows or somewhere in there, and I have now gotten through the greens and some of the blues. I think I have 4 more colors to do before I complete the rainbow. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. Yeah, I have 5 more colors. Maybe 5 more colors, 4 more colors, I can't remember. A few more colors before I complete the rainbow, and then I'm going to cascade out from the, so I'll go reverse, and then I'll just keep doing that until I finish. So I will show you this as I go along. I like this better with all the colors in it. It's starting to look more like a rainbow. I wasn't entirely sold on the yellows and the greens, but now I like how they're lining up in terms of colorways, and I think this is going to be fun. This is for my nephew Miles. It will be for his 4th birthday, which will be later this year, and I do need to get working on it, but I just didn't have a ton of time this week. But I am enjoying working the colors through the first time to see how they look. So hopefully by next week I will have finished the rainbow and will be working my way back out, and we'll be able to show you more of that. So that is what is on my hooks. I think that's about it for now. I want to do a sweater, and I just purchased a special sweater quantity of yarn, and as soon as that comes in, I'm hoping that I will be far enough along on the Zen Yarn Garden sweater that I can start on a sweater for me. I also have some hats in the design process, a cool, funky, enormous cowl that I hope that I will get to show you soon, and I think that's it. I have a ton of things going on behind the scenes, and it's really frustrating that I can't share more with you now, but I will share those with you as I am able. So that is the content of what's on the knitting needles and the hooks. Like I said, it might be a short one this week. So let's talk about spinning. Last week I had the opportunity to go to a spinning Sunday, and I actually spun up singles of a braid of fiber that I had been wanting to spin for a while. It was Hello Yarns Corriedale blend, or not a blend, it is Corriedale, and it was in the colorway Grumpy, and I spun it up into sock yarn because Corriedale is my favorite for sock yarn. And this looks like it ranges between kind of a sport and DK weight, which will be fine. This is going to be probably house socks for me, and this is what it spun up like. It had greens and purples and browns and a little bit of like peachy, yellowy tones, and I am super thrilled with it. There were some areas, basically, so it's interesting. I went back and looked at my spinning notebook from when I put this tag in there, like when I intended to start it. And I had intended to split this directly down the center and spin it as a chain ply, 2 skeins of a chain ply, perfect for socks. When it actually came down to the spinning of it, I forgot that that had been my intention. And so I went ahead and did a fractal spin. So the first thing I did was I divided the braid in half widthwise. So just pulled it out from the center 2 halves. And the first half I then stripped into 4 strips. And the second half I stripped into only 2 strips. So then I applied them through end to end all the way throughout and ended up with some areas that lined up, where you can see I've got like the greens and yellows kind of together. So it appears very, very green. And I had a section of purple that did that too, I think, if I can find it. I don't know where it is. It kind of got buried in here. Here is a section of some purples and browns that got kind of lined up together. And then it also ended up looking more 2-ply and barber pulley throughout. So I'm excited to wind this up and knit some socks with it. I actually had wound up another skein of hand spun in Corriedale that I spun a few months ago. So that is wound up and ready to be cast on for socks. So this one won't be quite yet. And of course I'm moving out of the season that I want warm woolly socks. Don't ask me why it took me till February and March to start thinking about casting them on. But yeah, that's the case. So that is the spinning that I finished. That's kind of all I have to show you for today. The other thing that I was going to talk about was that I really enjoyed getting back into spinning for myself or for others on my wheel. I have been doing a lot of spinning for chicken feathers, which is a quite different form of spinning than I normally do for myself. The chicken feathers are big, bulky singles, and they can be a little bit more rustic and a little bit less smooth than I usually spin. I usually try and spin much smoother, much more consistently, and I like kind of wild color, so I do like those barber pole spins. But what the other thing that I think I talked about a little bit last week is my use of my wheels. So for a long time, I have 2 wheels. I have an Ashford Joy dual treadle that I bought when I first started spinning, which was back in 2010. And then I have an electric Hanson mini spinner, and I bought that, I don't remember the year, but I want to say about 4 years ago. I got it around my birthday. And I got it from a friend who was destashing it, so I got a good price on it, and I love it. And for the beginning, when I first started with the mini spinner, I decided that I didn't like it so much for singles because I liked having more control over my singles. That is, and I think I've said this before, when you are treadling on a wheel, basically you can stop the wheel by stopping treadling. So if you have a problem, if you come to a nep in your fiber, if something didn't go quite right, you can easily stop. You can sort of do that with a mini spinner, but a mini spinner is on a constant electric speed. There are no foot treadles. It basically runs on either power from your wall or a battery. It is electric. And so in order to stop when you have a problem, you have to hit either the pedal or the button on the spinner. I actually have it's technically a foot pedal, but I usually just keep it on the couch beside me. So originally I liked spinning all of my singles on my treadle wheel and just plying on my mini spinner. And the mini spinner is great for plying. It's also great for creating large skeins. On my treadle wheel, the Ashford Joy, I do have the jumbo bobbins, so I can get approximately 6 ounces of fiber on those. But if I want to, say, do a combination spin of 2 bumps of fiber, if I apply them on my Ashford, I have to split them up into 2 skeins when I'm done because they won't all fit on one bobbin. If, however, I apply them on my mini spinner, I can get the full 8 ounces on a bobbin, which is really, really amazing. And I love that, especially when I'm doing longer sweater knits and I don't want to have multiple breaks in the yarn. It's just fewer ends to weave in. So I really, really enjoy that. Around the time I turned 40, which is almost 2 years ago now, I started having some back problems. Yay, middle age. And so sitting at my treadle wheel was not as comfortable anymore. And so I sort of packed it up and put it away, and I will never sell it. But I packed it up and put it away, and for several months I went ahead and started spinning exclusively on my mini spinner. And I found that, practice, I won't say perfect, but practice helps a lot. And so I ended up learning how to spin my singles on the mini spinner much more consistently. And so I ended up using the mini spinner sort of out of necessity, but I grew to love using it. And so since then, I pretty much have been using my mini spinner almost exclusively for my spins, both spinning the singles and then playing. Well, when I go places to spin, like spinning Sundays, sometimes I'll bring the mini spinner, but more often than not, I will just bring my treadle wheel because it doesn't need electricity. And I do have a battery for my mini spinner, but it tends to overheat and stop, so more reliable is when I can plug it into a wall. And you never know when you're going to someone's house where there's going to be a wall outlet handy, so honestly, most times I just bring my treadle wheel. And so when we went to Harveyville last weekend, the way we did, technically it's 2 weekends ago because it's not yesterday weekend, it was the Sunday before. I took my treadle wheel and I managed to spin these singles in the 4 hours that I sat there. And the thing that I noticed a couple things. One was I really enjoyed spinning and treadling my feet. It is super meditative, and there's just a rhythm to it that feels great that I don't get with my mini spinner. And the second thing that I realized was that it did not bother my back anymore. And part of that was because I was sitting in a somewhat low chair, and I am pretty short, and my wheel is of short stature as well. So I think it was something to do with the way I was sitting and the fact that I hadn't done it for a while, and but it was definitely my posture and the level I was sitting at. So I decided, because I enjoyed it so much, to try an experiment. So I am trying getting up about a half an hour earlier in the mornings, and I have set up my treadle wheel here in my office and craft room where I podcast from. And I am sitting on a futon that we bought for my craft room to serve sort of as a couch and double as a bed when we had enough house guests. And it is much lower to the ground. So I have been experimenting with spinning first thing in the morning before I have breakfast and go to work and get started with the day. And I am enjoying spinning for about 30 minutes a day in the morning on my treadle wheel. So I think that's going to be a new habit of mine, to try and spin in the mornings. I do think that this will actually up my production again, because I had gotten out of the habit of spinning a braid a week, which is what I used to do. But I feel like if I spin a half an hour every day, most days of the week, I will probably finish approximately a braid in a week, and then on the weekends I can take it out to my mini spinner, which is in the main room, which is in our den area where we watch TV and hang out, and I can just ply it on the weekends, and that way I will be spinning up my stash again. So right now on the wheel I started with those bobbins from those crazy bats that we made at Spinsters last weekend, so hopefully I will have those to bring and show you next week. So that's just a little bit about how I'm trying to put spinning back in my life. Spinning has taken a back seat in the last year or two to all the sample knitting that I'm doing, and I have been spending a large amount of time doing that, but I would really like to get back into just taking 20-30 minutes a day for me to spin, whether it's skeins for myself or skeins for my shop, or just to kind of enjoy the process. And I have plenty of fiber, stash acquired beyond life expectancy. I don't know that I have more than I could spin up and knit up in my entire lifetime, but I definitely have enough that I could spin and knit for several years without needing to buy anything else. So yeah. So that's kind of a wrap up to this week's episode. I know it was a short one. I hope that you have a wonderful crafting week ahead, that you are working on some projects, that you're getting excited for spring, or I guess if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're probably going into fall, so you're starting to think about warm, woolly things. But I hope wherever you are, you are enjoying yourself, not panicking too much about the state of the world. We won't talk about that virus that shall not be named that I keep reading about. And I hope you're enjoying a tasty beverage. So I will say, as I always do, until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.